What if I told you that one of the most ambitious college stadium projects in America isn't rising in a massive NFL city, isn't surrounded by bright lights or skyscrapers, but is unfolding quietly in the lakefront neighborhoods of Evanston, Illinois? A stadium so advanced, so experimental, that architects and engineers are already calling it a preview of where college sports construction is headed. A stadium designed to be smaller but more powerful, quieter on the outside but louder on the inside, and built not just for football but for a new era of college athletics. This is the Northwestern Wildcats' bold new arena, and it's rewriting the rule book. Long before the first Wildcats fans take a seat, the new Northwestern Stadium is already redefining expectations. It's a project packed with cost-saving innovations, radical design choices, intense community pushback, and engineering breakthroughs, all wrapped into a single construction site. This is not just another renovation. It's not a surface-level refresh. This is a high-stakes experiment taking place on a national stage. And the question everyone is asking is simple. What does it really take to build a stadium that could reshape the future of college football? Northwestern believes it has the answer. And all across the country, from athletic directors to city planners to rival Big Ten programs, people are watching closely to see if they're right. To understand how big this moment is, you have to understand what Northwestern is attempting. The university is tearing down a stadium that stood for nearly a century, and in its place, it's building an almost entirely new arena, from the foundations to the roofline. All in, the project is expected to push past $800 million, making it the most expensive college football stadium ever built. But the extraordinary part isn't just the price tag. It's the timing. Northwestern is doing this while facing lawsuits from residents, friction with the city council, a rapidly evolving NCAA landscape, and growing community concerns about noise, traffic, and neighborhood disruption. This isn't just construction. It's a political and logistical balancing act that affects thousands of people in a dense suburban environment. And yet, Northwestern is pushing forward because they believe the old Ryan Field simply couldn't carry the program into the future. The previous stadium seated around 47,500 people, but almost everything about it felt stuck in the past. Tight, congested concourses, limited accessibility, infrastructure that hadn't kept up with modern safety standards, acoustics that let noise escape instead of building energy, and most importantly, almost no meaningful premium seating, the financial lifeline of today's college programs. For a Big Ten school competing against massive programs with billion-dollar facilities, the old Ryan Field wasn't just outdated, it was falling behind. So, Northwestern made a decision very few programs are brave enough to make. Start fresh. Get rid of the old bowl, remove the structural limitations, and build something designed for the next 50 years of college athletics, not the previous 100. To do this, they're shrinking the stadium dramatically, from nearly 50,000 seats to roughly 35,000. That makes it the smallest stadium in the entire Big Ten, by a large margin. But in Northwestern's eyes, this isn't a downgrade, it's a redefinition. They believe a smaller, more intentional space can deliver a better experience, a louder environment, and a more sustainable long-term model for a university of their size. This idea, smaller but better, is something other schools are watching closely, and the stakes couldn't be higher. If you want to understand this project, start with the design philosophy. The new Ryan Field is built around one key idea. No fan should ever feel far from the action. In the world of sports, that is a radical concept. American stadiums have spent decades expanding, growing outward and upward. Bigger bowls, higher decks, thousands of seats added for revenue. Northwestern is doing the opposite. They're cutting capacity, steepening the bowl, tightening the geometry, and compressing the footprint so that every fan, whether they're paying for a club seat or standing in general admission, feels closer to the field than they ever did in the past. It's almost European in design. Think soccer arenas with steep walls of fans, where the atmosphere feels concentrated, not diluted. Imagine sitting in the very top row, yet still feeling connected to the game, hearing the pads collide, seeing the players' expressions, feeling the energy ripple through the stands. That's what Northwestern is aiming for. This isn't about bigness. It's about sharpness, intensity, and precision. And that leads us to the engineering. Patrick Ryan Jr., whose family is funding a massive portion of the project, has said the goal is straightforward: build the best place to watch a football game in America. Whether college or NFL. Bold? Yes. Impossible? Not necessarily. To achieve it, the design team rebuilt the entire seating structure with fan proximity in mind. The lower bowl sits just 48 feet from the turf. The club seats are positioned around 90 feet away. Suites are only about 110 feet back. And the farthest seat in the entire stadium, way up at the top deck, is only 136 feet from the field. That's not just closer than many college stadiums, it's closer than the mid-level seats in some NFL arenas. To put it in perspective, the top seats at Notre Dame Stadium are roughly double that distance. The farthest seats at Michigan Stadium are nearly 253 feet away. Northwestern is cutting that distance almost in half. But the seating bowl is only part of the engineering story. The stadium will feature a sweeping canopy system. Huge, cantilevered roof panels weighing up to 250,000 pounds each. These aren't just architectural flourishes. They are precision-designed acoustic instruments. Their job is to reflect sound inward, trapping crowd noise and sending it back down toward the field. When you make a stadium smaller, creating energy becomes harder. The canopies solve that problem. They help turn a 35,000-seat crowd into a wall of sound. Then there's the premium experience, something Northwestern simply couldn't deliver before. Inside the new stadium, 4 distinct club spaces create 4 completely different environments. There's a field-level club built right next to the team tunnel. There's a corporate club aimed at Chicago businesses, a loft club designed for younger alumni, and a dedicated student hall feeding directly into the main plaza. All of it is layered, intentional, and carefully integrated into the bowl itself. And that's before you even get to the student section. 2,000 free seats behind the end zone, nearly a quarter of the entire undergrad population. It's a bold move designed to boost student engagement and game day energy. But Ryan Field didn't appear out of thin air. It was born from years of planning, negotiation, and controversy. The transformation began with the total demolition of the old stadium, a slow, controlled process that started from the top and moved downward. By dismantling the upper bowl first, crews kept the structure stable until the final pieces came down. Much of the concrete and steel was crushed on site and recycled back into the project. Once the ground was cleared, the next phase began: deep excavation and foundation work. Large caissons were drilled into the earth to anchor the stadium. Reinforced concrete structures began forming the lower bowl. Drainage systems, utilities, and early infrastructure were put into place. Over time, the steel superstructure began rising, the moment where the project shifted from destruction to creation. Massive trusses were craned into place. Vertical support columns formed the skeleton of the new bowl. Catwalks, platforms, and early stair systems connected the levels. Then, the architecture started to emerge. The canopy outlines, the curved sweep of the new facade, the layered look that will eventually define the stadium against the Evanston skyline. It's a process that requires precision and patience. And while the engineering challenges are significant, they're nothing compared to the political ones. From the moment Northwestern proposed hosting concerts at the new stadium, the project exploded into controversy. Residents formed coalitions. Neighborhood groups hired lawyers. City council members were pressured from both sides. And what should have been a straightforward rebuild transformed into a community-wide battle. At the core was one question: should a college stadium in the middle of a residential neighborhood double as a commercial concert venue? Residents argued no. They feared traffic, late-night crowds, amplified noise, and the feeling that Northwestern was turning a quiet community into an entertainment district. all without paying property taxes. Northwestern and the city argued that concerts were necessary for financial sustainability. Without them, the model didn't work. The debate became heated. Meetings ran late into the night. Committees rejected key proposals, and the city council split 4-4, forcing the mayor to cast the deciding vote to approve the project. Even after that vote, lawsuits followed, appeals were filed, and the approval process turned into something that looked less like stadium planning and more like courtroom drama, all while construction planning moved forward in the background. Today, demolition is complete. Foundation work is underway, steel is rising, and Northwestern expects the new stadium to open in 2026. Drone shots here would show cleared land, heavy machinery pushing soil, bright yellow cranes lifting beams, and the early outlines of a stadium that looks nothing like the one that stood there for nearly a century. What Northwestern is building isn't just a football venue, it's a new model, smaller, louder, and more flexible. And more financially modern. A stadium built for football, concerts, community events, and an athletic department facing a changing NCAA landscape. If Northwestern can pull it off, if the politics, the pushback, and the price tag don't derail it, this stadium could become the blueprint for other urban universities around the country. A stadium with fewer seats, but more impact. More engineering with less footprint, more revenue opportunities without becoming a massive concrete bowl. This is Northwestern's experiment, and if it works, it might just redefine the future of college sports.